All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Just a few hours left before day 2 of the 2026 NFL Draft kicks off. And now that we've discussed Jadarian Price at length, the question is, where do we go from here? What happens next? What should the Seahawks do in the second and third round later today? And we got to take a look and see what's available, what's left. I think most people are relatively familiar with the circumstances of our upcoming picks. We are a long way away. So a lot of guys are going to be gone between now and 64. Maybe we trade up, but we're probably not going to trade up a huge amount. So understand that we can look at the list, but a lot of these guys will be gone by the time we pick. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks, more on them a little bit later. But taking a look at the landscape going into the second round here, let's focus in on some positions where the team is likely to invest. We know we don't need running back anymore. I don't think we have room for another running back at this point. Price is the guy. Some names to watch. So Gennings Dunker, I think, is very intriguing at this point. If he gets down to the late second, I would even maybe trade up to get him. I know he's listed as a tackle, and he might be able to play tackle in the NFL. I'm not sure. There's also a very good chance he has to slide inside, and he would be a really good right guard. I think that he could start day one over Anthony Bradford, and even if he doesn't, Bradford is in the last year of his deal. So if you go get Dunker, then you have the opportunity to either replace Bradford now or replace him after his contract is up. So Dunker, I think, is one of the more interesting players to keep an eye on here. There's a couple other guys, like you've got Bisontis of Texas A&M and Pregnon of Oregon, who you could maybe draft with the plans to play them at right guard. I think that's a little bit less appealing because they played left guard in college. So I'm not completely enamored with that, but it is an idea. And if you think it can work, then maybe it can work. Defensive tackle, no way Caden McDonald makes it much further. That guy's a little too good. That guy's going to go at some point in the next several picks. I find it very hard to believe he'd fall to 64 or even close to 64 so you could pick him. So I'm not really seeing much there. Maybe Lee Hunter is a name to watch in the second round if he slips, but I don't know how much this team is into the idea of getting a nose tackle anyway. I like the idea, but maybe the team is content with what they have. So not necessarily seen a lot of stuff here. Linebacker, you've got Anthony Hill and CJ Allen. Let's keep an eye there. I know it's bold, but if Anthony Hill keeps slipping, I'm all over that. Hill, to me, was a borderline first-round caliber player in this draft, and if he may slip to the end of the second. Not ruling it out. And I know people would freak out if we draft a linebacker, but I do not care. That guy's good. That guy's going to be awesome. CJ Allen, I mean, not as fun as I thought he would be, but honestly, CJ Allen, if you can get him like late second round, you're doing pretty well for yourself. So keep an eye on that. See if he keeps sliding. There is some stuff going on at edge. I remain a big fan of TJ Parker, and I seriously doubt he'll be available for much longer. But there is some opportunity for some guys to slip a little bit, like Zion Young. I think Young is actually a really good name to watch out for right now because there seems to be some cooling interest on him, but I still view him as a really good Mike McDonald edge. If you like sports, the best way to make them better and more exciting is using Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks, all you got to do is pick more or less on your favorite players' projections and build lineups with a few taps. It's the daily fantasy stuff, but it's made super easy over there. Whatever sport you're into, give it a shot. And right now, Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All you have to do is use promo code HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far. It makes this daily fantasy thing very easy, and it makes watching the games way more exciting. Be sure to check out the social feeds feature so you can share lineups with your friends and tail partners or even fade their picks. Right now, Prize Picks is offering odds on the NFL draft. You have who's going to go where, what each team is going to do, how many of each position is going to go in each round, and so on and so on. Get on over to Prize Picks. Take advantage of that. So, download Prize Picks today, America's #1 sports app, and remember to use the promo code HMA. And remember, always gamble responsibly. We know the Seahawks met with Howell, Cassius Howell. If he slips to the bottom of the second, then that's intriguing. Gabe Yakas remains interesting, at least. I know that he's flawed. Derek Moore. We met with our Mason Thomas. And there's actually a lot going on in the edge room in this class that I am intrigued by. And I do think we need another one. Whether or not we need to get one in the draft is a little more debatable. But there's definitely stuff going on there. But to me, and I save this for last for a reason, the place where this team really needs to try to make sure they find good stuff at in this draft would be at corner and to a little bit of a lesser extent safety. And this was where I was hoping we would go yesterday, but there's still time to get a really good player. And if things fall the right way, you could end up doing really, really well and almost canceling out what happened yesterday. I refuse to believe Jermon McCoy falls to 64. If he does, the medicals must be so atrocious that he's undraftable virtually. So I'm not even talking about McCoy anymore. I think he'll be gone within the first few picks tonight. But Avion Terrell, there's some outside chance that he keeps falling. Seems like teams don't like how small he is, but I see a very good player there. Holton Hood, there seems to be a little bit of a possibility of him slipping. Brandon Cisse, would love to get him at even middle second round. If you have to trade up into the middle second to get Cisse, yes, I am doing that all day long. D'Angelo Pons, I don't know if he's really a fit for what we're doing, but maybe McDonald thinks he is. And if McDonald and Schneider think he is, I'd be willing to go with that. Keith Abney, really intriguing. Dalen Everett, more of a third round guy probably, but I like him a lot. And I wouldn't even be mad if we got him at 64 because I do like him that much. So there's a lot of stuff at corner. There should be good corners left. Even Malik Muhammad, who I view as a third rounder, you're going to have options. I don't think all these guys are going to get snatched. And there's a timeline where you end up with the opportunity to get somebody really good at 64. I don't know how likely it is, but Cisse could be there. Hood could be there. I think Abney will be there. Everett will be there. Pons probably will be there. So I think that's your #1 priority. We can't forget about safety either. EMW won't be there, I don't think. I think he's a little too good. Halsey, Stukes, Wheatley, Kilgore, Clark, those would Ramsey. I would think those are the guys to keep an eye on tomorrow. See who falls. See who makes it to 64 or 96. If you can get Stukes at 64, I think that's really fun. Could be a corner, could be a safety, could be neither, could be both. I don't think he'll be neither, though. I think he'll at least be a good safety, but he could be a good corner as well. Wheatley, probably more of a third-round pick, but I think he'd be a great third-round pick. I love him in this defense. Bud Clark could be a great nickel corner and safety at the same time. So there's stuff going on here. You can definitely make a list of 32 appealing players for the Seahawks to take in the next in the bottom of the second, if you really wanted to. And there are going to be plenty of players that get drafted at positions we don't want anymore. Like Denzel Boston's going to get drafted. Chris Brazell II is going to get drafted. Jeremy Bernard. Mike Washington will get drafted. So there's stuff that this team can still do. And some of it could be really, really good to the point where it almost feels like you get an extra first-round pick in this draft. So let's see. All right. So that's kind of laying out what I'm keeping an eye on as we head into day 2. Get an offensive lineman to play right guard for you now or later. Maybe a little bit of defensive tackle, nose tackle, a little bit of linebacker, some edge. Mostly, though, cornerback and safety. I want defensive backs. That's where the strength of this draft is. If you actually use a late second-round pick in this draft and you get a guy like Avion Terrell, Holton Hood, or Brandon Cisse, I think you're punching well above your weight. You got something that in a draft this lackluster you should not have been able to get. All right. So, I'll be going live in a few hours. Probably no more videos between now and then, although maybe something happens. But we're not picking for a while, so I know I know it's annoying. It's frustrating. But we're going to make do with what we have. We do have a couple of division rivals picking early in the second, so we will be monitoring that. We've got the Niners, we got the Cardinals, so let's see what they do. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Go Hawks. Let me know who you want today, and I'll see you guys soon.